Are you unknowingly making menopause harder than it has to be? Today on the Mr. Menopause Show, our host is uncovering the 5 biggest mistakes that are keeping women stuck in fatigue, frustration, and misinformation during menopause. Plus, 3 bonus missteps that even smart, health conscious women don't see coming. And later, in a special Nutrition 101 segment, you'll learn about the small but mighty nutrients that can make a massive difference in your mood, metabolism, energy, and hormonal balance. Please welcome your host, trusted menopause and healthy aging strategist, Mr. Menopause himself, Tafiq Akhir.
Hey there, it's Tafiq Akhir, Mr. Menopause, your go-to source for reliable menopause and healthy aging support, and your host. And welcome to another powerful episode of the Mr. Menopause Show, broadcasting across the globe right here on Bold Brave TV. Now, if you've ever felt like menopause has turned your body into a mystery that you can't solve, well, this episode is your invitation to clarity, confidence, and finally feeling back in control again. Because let's be honest, most women were never told how to actually navigate menopause or what it really was, right? You were expected to figure it out on your own, to push through, or worse, to stay quiet. But not today and not here. On this episode, I am exposing the 5 biggest mistakes that are making menopause harder, more exhausting, and more confusing than it has to be. And I'll also reveal 3 bonus missteps that could be keeping you stuck even if you're doing all the right things. And yes, we're going to get into this as well. We're going to talk about why the advice that you've been given may not apply anymore, why your doctor might not actually have menopause training, and why the number on the scale does not tell the whole story, especially during this time of life. Plus, later in the episode, I'm going to be sharing a Nutrition 101 lesson on the magic of micronutrients during menopause, because sometimes the smallest things can actually create the biggest breakthroughs in how you sleep, feel, think, and function. And in the final segment, it's Ask Mr. Menopause, where I'm going to answer real questions from real women like you who are ready for better answers, better care, and better support. Now, let me say this right up front. Midlife doesn't mean your health is over. It means that your strategy has to evolve, right? And I meet women every day who are exhausted, frustrated, and feeling betrayed by their bodies. And let me be clear, it's not your fault. You weren't given the right information. You weren't taught how your hormones really work. You were told to shrink, to push through, and to stay silent. And it's not you, it's the system, the silence, the lack of education and support that left you trying to fix something that you were never even told was changing. You see, your 20s and 30s were about survival, success, and sacrifice for your career, your family, your dreams. But now that you're navigating the hormonal shifts of menopause, well, it's time to shift that focus back to you. And this isn't about regret, it's about recognition, because once you know what didn't serve you before 40, you can stop repeating those same patterns and start feeling like yourself again, or better yet, even more powerful version of yourself. So today we're going to talk about 5 of the most common health and hormone mistakes that women unknowingly make before 40, and more importantly, why repeating those same mistakes in menopause can make everything worse. But first, look, I want you to remember something, and this is really important. This isn't about shame or blame. This is about awareness, because once you know better, you can do better. And these aren't just common slip ups, they're the quiet saboteurs that sneak into your routines and stick around for decades. They're the things that you picked up from diet culture, from hustle culture, from misinformation, just things that you were praised for when you were younger. But in menopause, these same habits can seriously throw your brain, your body, and your emotional health way out of whack. So I'm going to break each one down, not to make you feel bad, but to light the path forward with real insight, humor, science, and some lived in wisdom from the women that I've worked with for nearly 2 decades. And don't worry, I'm not just handing you problems either. I'm going to hand you some solutions as well, because that's what I do on the Mr. Menopause Show. Now, let me give you a quick snapshot of what these mistakes are costing you, because this isn't just about habits either, right? It's about real symptoms that you've probably been dealing with day in and day out. And I'm talking unexpected weight gain, energy crashes, mood swings, and symptom flare ups that just won't quit. But here's the good news. Every mistake that I'm talking about today is 100% correctable, and some of the fixes, well, they're easier than you might think. So grab a notebook if you'd like, and let's get into it, because thriving through menopause starts with knowing what no one ever taught you before. But your next breakthrough starts right now. Now, the first mistake, now this is one that keeps far too many women struggling longer than they have to, and that is thinking that your symptoms are just part of aging. Now, this shows up quietly at first. You start waking up exhausted, your patience run thin, you misplace your keys again, right? Not sleeping well, your body feels unfamiliar, and somewhere in your mind you whisper to yourself, well, maybe this is just what getting older is, right? That might be one thought. Or you might think maybe this is just what I have to deal with. Because the reason that you don't ask for help is that, right? It's the reason you downplay your symptoms. It's the reason you suffer in silence while trying to hold everything else together. But here's the truth. This isn't just aging. This is hormonal. Your estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone are shifting, sometimes dropping sharply, sometimes spiking unpredictably. And those changes affect your brain, your mood, your muscles, your skin, your sleep, your energy, everything. And let me share this real example, right? My client Elise, powerhouse entrepreneur, sharp, steady, resilient. Then suddenly she started forgetting meetings, losing words mid-sentence, and her workouts exhausted her more than ever before, and she just talked it up to aging and burnout. Her doctor said she just needed rest. And she tried, but nothing changed until she learned that she was actually in perimenopause. And sadly, this story mirrors experiences of thousands of women. And it's one of the things that I hear most from women that come to me for help. In fact, according to a study in the Journal of Women's Health, up to 60% of women report menopause symptoms due to their doctors, but only 25% actually get effective support or follow-up care. And what this mistake is really costing you is the quality of life and your time, right? But once you recognize the difference between aging and hormone imbalance, then you can unlock something powerful, and that is relief. And when you understand what's happening, you can start working with your body, not against it. You move out of survival mode and into a space of awareness, action, and support. You know, as Dr. Lisa Mosconi, director of the Women's Brain Initiative at Weill Cornell, she says that menopause is not a decline, it's a transition, but you can't navigate it blindfolded. Right? And here's the belief that keeps women stuck the most, and it's the biggest mistake I think, and it's that if it's just aging, there's nothing that I can do about it, because it's not true. So I want to challenge you right now, because aging is a process, but what you're experiencing, well, this is disruption, right? And that's hormone chaos, and chaos has a cause and a solution. And once you give it a name, you can finally stop blaming yourself, and you can stop feeling ashamed, right? And stop accepting suffering as just the way it is, because it's not the way it has to be. And if you're watching this right now, I think that somewhere in the back of your mind, you know that. Now, mistake number two is not knowing which stage of menopause you're actually in. Now, this mistake doesn't show up with flashing lights. It shows up with confusion. Your period changes. Sometimes it's heavier, sometimes lighter, sometimes gone for months, and then suddenly it's back with a vengeance. You're exhausted but wired. Your mood shifts overnight. You feel things in your body that you can't explain. And yet, when you go to your doctor, they tell you you're too young for menopause because you're still having your cycle. So you leave the doctor's office thinking it's stress or anxiety or just bad luck. But here's the missing link: you're most likely in perimenopause, and that can last anywhere from 3 to 15 years, starting as early as 35 for some women. And I'll never forget working with a young lady by the name of Carla. She was a sales rep, and she came to me after months of anxiety, insomnia, crying spells, and a cycle that was all over the place. Her doctor ran standard labs and told her everything was within range, right? But we dove deeper and revealed that she had actually been in perimenopause for 2 years. facing all the classic symptoms without a single piece of education or support. But once we helped her understand what was happening, the overwhelm didn't disappear, but it absolutely became manageable. Because now she had an understanding and a plan. And this is not unique to Carla. In fact, only 7% of doctors say they even feel comfortable identifying or even treating perimenopause. And this is according to a 2022 Mayo Clinic survey. And only look, there's no clear milestone, no diagnostic test that can stamp and say you're here, right? Most women don't know how to respond, so they either wait it out or treat symptoms in isolation. Sleeping pills for insomnia, anti-anxiety meds for mood, and a glass of wine to numb it all, right? Not knowing your stage means that you're more likely to feel like nothing is working because you're using the wrong tools for the job. Knowing your stage isn't just helpful, it is essential because it tells you what's changing, what to expect, and what kind of support your body actually needs right now. And it's the difference between throwing darts in the dark and actually hitting the target with clarity. The belief that keeps this mistake alive is that if I'm still getting a period, it can't be menopause. But here's what I need you to know. Your body doesn't wait for your period to stop before it starts changing. Perimenopause is just the storm before the stillness. It's the most symptomatic phase, and it's when you need the most guidance, right? That's when you need the support, right? And that's when you'll stop thinking that you're crazy and you'll start feeling like you again. Now, mistake number 3 is focusing on weight instead of health. Now, let's talk about something that affects not just your body, but your self-worth, right? Your weight. But here's what I hear all the time. I'm doing everything right and I'm still gaining weight. Another thing I hear is I used to eat this way and stay lean. Now it's not working anymore. And the one of the most common is that I feel like I'm losing control of my body and the scale is proof. Well, here's the truth. Menopause-related weight gain isn't a sign of failure. It's a reflection of what's happening inside your body. Hormonal changes affect fat storage, metabolism, insulin sensitivity, and muscle mass. And when estrogen drops, your body naturally shifts to store more fat, especially around the midsection. But if you're only focusing on the number on your scale, you're missing the full story. Weight is just one data point. What matters more is muscle mass, bone density, blood sugar regulation, energy, inflammation, and stress resilience. There was a story in an article I read about a woman named Darla who was weighing herself daily. Her self-esteem was completely tied to that number. But what the scale didn't show was that she was losing muscle, not just fat, and she was tired, moody, and constantly frustrated. Once she shifted the focus from shrinking to strengthening, everything changed. Her labs improved, her energy returned. She didn't just look different, she felt capable again. And according to Dr. Rekha Kumar, former chief of clinical nutrition at Weill Cornell, weight loss alone is not a win. The goal is fat loss, not muscle loss. The goal is strength, not shrinkage. So here's the shift that I want. Instead of chasing a number, start asking, am I building muscle? Am I managing blood sugar and stress? Do I feel energized, focused, and strong? See, because that is where health lives. And the belief that holds women hostage is that if I can just lose the weight, everything will get better. No, because the truth is, it's not about being smaller. It's about being stronger for your hormones, for your health. The number on the scale won't fix fatigue, inflammation, or mood swings, but building strength will regulate hormones will, right? Getting the right support will. And that shift from appearance to vitality will. And that will be the turning point in every transformation. It's been the turning point in every transformation I've been a part of. Now, coming up next, we're going to dive into the rest of the mistakes, 4 and 5, and we're going to also tackle what happens when you follow generic health advice that doesn't work with your hormones and how trying to tough it out can actually quietly erode your confidence and health. And then I'll share a few bonus missteps that most women never even realize they're making. Plus, to do things differently, you need to feel stronger, steadier, and more support. I'm going to show you how to do that as well. And you are watching the Mr. Menopause Show. I'm Tafiq Akhir, and this is Bold Brave TV, and we will see you after this.
Take a moment to subscribe for expert tips, real talk, and no fluff support. Brought to you by Mr. Menopause himself, Tafiq Akhir, a certified award-winning menopause strategist, best-selling author, speaker, and the host of the Mr. Menopause Show, streaming weekly on Bold Brave TV. Have you subscribed yet?
Welcome back to the Mr. Menopause Show on Bold Brave TV. I'm your host, Tafiq Akhir, and in segment 1, we tackled the first 3 mistakes that can keep women trapped in confusion, frustration, and self-blame during menopause. Now, if you missed that part, go back and watch it because it is foundational. Because now we're going to dive deeper into the next 2 mistakes, and then I'm going to be giving you 3 powerful bonus missteps that almost no one talks about, but every woman I work with makes. So these are the blind spots that can silently stall your progress until someone actually helps you to turn the lights back on. Mistake number 4 is following generic health advice. Now, let's talk about this for a minute because I want to talk about this belief that if I just eat clean, exercise more, sleep great, that everything will go back to normal, right? Now, is that bad advice? No, but it's incomplete because it's definitely not customizable for a menopause body, right? When your hormones are shifting, the rules change. The meal plans you used in your 30s, the workouts you used to that used to work, they might not be effective right now, right? Because of menopause. Another thing I want to just be clear about is I want you to know that it's not your body working against you. It's actually you working against your body because you're still trying to hold on to things that is not serving your body at this point in time. It's no longer about calories in versus calories out as it used to be because this time it's about hormonal shifts. And basically your body is trying to tell you what it needs and you're fighting it. Otherwise, you would be losing weight. Otherwise, you wouldn't be having poor joint pain. Otherwise, you would be able to balance your stress and to sleep well. But if you're not, then your body is trying to send you signals that you are not doing what is best to serve your body, right? And that's what I want you to know because actually, listen, there was an article in The Guardian back in 2023. A lady named Joanna shared how she followed every clean eating, hit influencer on Instagram, believing that she just had to try harder, right? And that would be what would help her feel like herself again. And at 52, she was doing these intense workouts 5 days a week and eating perfectly, and yet she was gaining belly fat, felt foggy, and couldn't sleep. And she said, you know, I started to feel like my body hated me. I thought maybe I was doing it wrong, and I never even imagined my hormones were part of the issue. But yet she's gaining weight. She's sleeping terribly and starting to resent her body. And why? Because her body needs have changed. During perimenopause and postmenopause, cortisol sensitivity increases, muscle recovery slows down, and nutrition needs become more specific. And generic advice doesn't account for any of that. And research confirms this. In fact, a study in the Journal of Midlife Health found that menopausal women have unique metabolic patterns and require tailored approaches to food, fitness, and stress management. And here's the limiting belief that I think that drives this mistake. It's that if I just work harder and follow what's always worked before, that I'll get the results, right? I mentioned this before, but what worked before menopause doesn't work during it. In fact, it can actually backfire because overtraining raises cortisol, cutting calories wrecks your energy, ignoring recovery slows your metabolism. What works now must be designed about what your body needs, what your current biology is, not outdated Fitspo tips, right? This isn't about doing more, it's about doing what's right. Now, mistake 5 is trying to tough it out all alone. Now, this one is deeply personal and emotional for a lot of women, right? And so, because they just try to tough it out alone because they feel like that's what they're supposed to. But toughing it out alone doesn't just slow your progress, it isolates you. In the Huffington Post personal essay titled Menopause Nearly Broke Me, I Thought I Was Going Crazy, writer Stacey Freeman recounts her experience of juggling parenting, caregiving, and work while silently battling fatigue, brain fog, and intense anxiety. She never told anyone, not even her doctor, because she assumed it was just stress. Her words were, I didn't know that I could get help. I thought I had to keep pushing through it. I didn't want to be seen as weak. And her story echoes what millions of others say, right? Another said, every night I cry in the shower, grieving a version of myself that I no longer recognize. But here's the truth. Menopause isn't a personal failure to be endured. It's a health transition that deserves support. And according to the 2021 State of Menopause study, 73% of women say that they just deal with it because they feel like no one would understand, even though over 80% report symptoms that impact their daily lives. See, when you isolate, you delay healing, you delay hope, and when you reach out, everything begins to shift though. So here's what I want you to hear. You are not weak for needing help. You are wise for seeking it. Menopause is not meant to be survived in silence. It's meant to be navigated with confidence, community, guidance, and real solutions. Now, I want to move on to our bonus missteps because these are really important. Now, the first bonus misstep that I think is important is ignoring the mental and emotional health impacts. So many women come to me so focused on the physical symptoms, the hot flashes, weight gain, and sleep, but they ignore the emotional ones that are just as real. Mood swings, anxiety, grief, rage, depression, disconnection. Sound familiar? These aren't just stress, they're neurochemical reactions to hormone changes, especially the drop in estrogen, which also affects serotonin and dopamine. And yet, most women are never told what's happening in their brain, and that is important for them to know this, right? In a candid New York Times interview, author and filmmaker, I think Jennifer Seibel Newsom, opened up about her menopause journey. She described unexplained rage, waves of sadness, and the fear that something was wrong with her mind. What she learned later was that it wasn't mental illness, it was estrogen decline affecting neurotransmitters. And with education, support, and hormone therapy, she said, I could finally think again. I could breathe. Now, when you ignore emotional health, you disconnect from yourself and you start thinking that you're broken. You're not broken. You're just rewiring. But like any major system update, you need the right support in order to reboot. Now, bonus misstep number 2 is assuming your doctor knows menopause. This one is frustrating, but also should be eye-opening because many women assume OBGYNs or their general practitioner is trained in menopause care. But the truth is that most medical schools spend less than 4 hours on menopause education. Some spend none on it at all. So when you hear your labs look fine or it's just stress or you're too young for menopause, it's not always because your doctor doesn't care. It's because they were never taught what to look for. Now, in a Washington Post profile on midlife health gaps, a woman named Dana actually recounted visiting 4 different providers for brain fog, weight gain, and sleep problems. Each dismissed her concerns as or prescribed anxiety meds, right? And it wasn't until she found a menopause informed clinician that her hormone levels were tested and her low progesterone explained everything. Within weeks of treatment, she said, I felt like someone finally turned the lights back on in my head. A 2022 Mayo Clinic survey revealed that over 70% of providers do not feel comfortable treating perimenopause or menopause without additional training. So the takeaway here is that your doctor's knowledge gap is not a reason to give up, it's a reason to get empowered. Ask better questions, seek second opinions, work with certified menopause informed specialists when you can. Now, bonus misstep number 3, and the final one, is not tracking what's happening in your body. If you're not tracking, you are guessing. And when you guess, you miss patterns. You lose insight. You delay progress. Tracking doesn't have to be complicated either. You can use a simple journal, a notes app, or a simple tracker. But writing down what you're feeling, energy, sleep cycles, mood, digestion, it gives you data. And in a story published by NPR Shots, a woman named Clarissa explained how tracking her daily symptoms in a journal helped her to realize that her migraines and her sugar cravings peaked at the same point in her irregular cycle each month. Now, that insight led her to speak with a provider who specialized in hormone health and helped to provide her with what she needed, right? She discovered an estrogen progesterone imbalance and that had gone undetected for years. And she said, I never thought that a simple notebook would help me get back my life. That data becomes clarity. That clarity becomes confidence, and that confidence leads to solutions. Because now you can connect the dots between what your body's telling you and what it needs. Now, before we move on, if there's one thing I want you to take from this segment, it's this. Stop pushing through, guessing, or going it alone. Start tracking what's changing. Question outdated advice. And know that getting support is not weakness, it is wisdom. And you deserve personalized solutions, not one size fits all guesses and all that crap, right? And that moment that you begin to turn in your body around and you start to see the clarity and you start to see what's really going on, right? And you can start to do the things that your body actually needs in order to thrive and not just survive. Now, coming up next, I'm sharing the magic of micronutrients and how it can affect menopause and beyond. And we're going to really dive in here because I'm going to be talking about these small nutrients that actually have a huge impact on energy, mood, metabolism, and hormonal balance. And if you've been trying supplements randomly or wondering why your diet isn't helping, well, it's time to get specific. I'm your host, Mr. Menopause, and you are watching the Mr. Menopause Show on Bold Brave TV. Don't go anywhere.
Clients are raving about Tafiq Akhir, widely known as Mr. Menopause, for helping them manage menopause and healthy aging with confidence, grace, and complete autonomy. Don't just take my word for it, listen for yourself.
He told me to just trust the process, and as I trust the process week by week, I get lighter. I'm just amazed. I'm so amazed.
Just to have found the guidance and expertise of Tafiq to help me get to the point where I am now and know that I have somewhere that I can continue to go and have a plan and guidance.
Talk to Tafiq and see what he can do for you, because he can tailor something for you.
Program. I lost 23 pounds within the 8 weeks.
I was not expecting to lose that much weight in the first 4 weeks, and I already reached my goal.
I lost 4.5 inches off my waist. Now that is huge because I know belly fat is like the worst.
I was able to lose measurements. Clothes are starting to feel a little bit looser, especially in my waist.
Given the fact that I'm stronger, I've lost some weight, I'm eating better. Overall, I feel very hopeful that I'm on the right track for myself.
You know, once you meet Tafiq, you know that he's going to do something special for you that you're not going to get somewhere else.
Once they get committed, you know, their life will change, period. Yeah, it changed my life.
Tafiq is a great teacher, he has great attitude, and it's funny, and I just love him.
Feeling inspired? Take the first step to menopause empowerment. Complete the free menopause readiness quiz at menopausereadinessquiz.com to see if one of Tafiq's programs can help change your life. You deserve support. You deserve to thrive. Complete the quiz today.
Welcome back to the Mr. Menopause Show on Bold Brave TV. I'm your host, Tafiq Akhir. Now, in our first 2 segments, we talked about some of the biggest mindset traps and lifestyle missteps that can quietly sabotage your menopause journey. But now I want to take you somewhere that most doctors don't even go. And we're diving into one of the most overlooked but absolutely essential keys to feeling better, thinking clearly, and actually living with more energy during menopause, and that's micronutrients. Now, I know micro sounds small, but don't let the word fool you. These tiny vitamins and minerals pack a massive punch, and during menopause, well, they often become the missing link between doing all the right things and still feeling completely off. Now, I'm talking about the stuff that isn't always obvious. You may be exercising, you may be sleeping, you may be eating all the so-called right foods, but if you're still bloated, fatigued, forgetful, irritable, and constantly wondering why your body isn't cooperating, well, micronutrients might be what's missing. And this matters because when you're low in the very things your body uses to make hormones, to repair tissue, manage stress, and regulate sleep, well, it doesn't matter how many green smoothies or 10,000 step days you're logging in, your body simply cannot run on empty. Micronutrient depletion isn't talked about quite enough, but once you understand what your body needs at this stage of life and you start to give it those things, you can experience real noticeable changes. Now, let's dig in because this next segment just might be what makes everything different from you. And listen, it might finally click, right? Now, micronutrients matter more than ever because during perimenopause and postmenopause, your body goes through major changes hormonally, neurologically, and metabolically, and those changes increase your nutrient demands. Your body is doing more behind the scenes than ever before, trying to stabilize shifting hormones, regulate mood, support bone density, protect your heart and brain, and deal with increasing oxidative stress, all while you're navigating the everyday pressures of life, work, family, and aging. And to do it all, well, it needs fuel. Not just calories, cellular level nutrition, the kind that helps your body build, repair, and regulate. That's where micronutrients come in. A 2021 study in the Journal of Nutrition and Health found that more than 70% of midlife women had at least one significant micronutrient deficiency and didn't even know it. And when those nutrients are missing, your symptoms get worse. And I'm talking fatigue, poor sleep, low mood, brain fog, brittle hair, skin changes, even irregular heartbeats. All of it. Some women even develop food sensitivities, headaches, or even new aches and pains they didn't have before with no clear cause. And here's the kicker. Many of these symptoms get blamed on aging or stress, when in reality, your body may just be missing the raw materials it needs to function properly and to feel good again. Now, this isn't about perfection, by the way. It's about nourishment. If your body is a symphony, micronutrients are the sheet music. And without them, things sound off, even if all the instruments are technically playing good. But listen, I eat healthy, so why am I still low? Let's talk about that. Even if you eat a whole foods-based diet, even if you avoid processed foods, even if you're drinking your water and eating your greens, you can still have nutrient gaps, right? And it's not your fault. Modern farming practices have changed. Our soil isn't what it used to be, which means that our food isn't either. And to that chronic stress, right? And that burns off magnesium, vitamin B, plus age-related changes to digestion, gut absorption, and you've got a recipe for silent depletion, right? And let's not forget antacids, hormone blockers, medications, what else? Statins, all of these things can actually interfere with how your body actually absorbs or utilizes nutrients. And let's not forget this, when estrogen declines, it can reduce your stomach acid and gut enzyme production. So even if you are eating quote unquote healthy, your body might not be breaking it down or absorbing it well. And don't get me started on these generic multivitamins. They often use low quality, poorly absorbed forms of nutrients, and they're not always bioavailable. And they're definitely not tailored for a menopausal body. So if you're doing everything right and still not feeling right, then first, you're not crazy and you're not failing. You might just be undernourished at the cellular level, and no salad or smoothie alone can fix it. Real women deserve real results. And in Prevention Magazine, journalist Leslie Jane Seymour talked about how she was doing everything what she thought was right. Clean eating, exercising, sleeping well, the whole gambit, right? But she still felt awful. Total brain fog, mystery fatigue. Turns out she had a deficit of vitamin B12, D3, and magnesium. 1 month after targeted supplementation, and she said it was like someone turned my brain back on. And in Well and Good, another woman shared how years of mood crashes and sugar cravings finally made sense when her functional nutritionist found out that she was magnesium deficient. Within weeks, she was sleeping better. Her cravings vanished and her anxiety eased up. And there's also the case of Jenna, featured in Goop, who had stubborn belly fat, painful bloating, and irritability that she couldn't shake. Her functional doctor ran a micronutrient panel and found borderline selenium and low omega-3s. Within 6 weeks of focused nutrition support, she said, I felt like I had my rhythm back. These are not miracle cures. They're micronutrient corrections, that's all. And when you give your body what it's been missing, it knows exactly what to do. Your cells respond, your brain wakes up, your metabolism recalibrates, and you start feeling like yourself again, maybe even better. Now, what I want to do is I'm going to focus on these top 7. These are the top 7 that I want everyone to focus on because they play an outsized role. And I'll say that. They play an outsized role in hormone balance, mental health, energy production, and inflammation control. So look, I'm going to get specific now. There are 7 micronutrients that I pay close attention to when I'm working with my clients in menopause because when they're low, everything is harder, right? And number 1 is magnesium. We discussed this. This is the menopause mineral, right? Magnesium is your calm. It regulates your blood sugar. It eases anxiety. It supports sleep. It helps to metabolize estrogen and so much more. You know, Christine is one of my former clients, and she came to me with insomnia, muscle cramps, and anxiety. She couldn't explain it at all. Nothing helped her until actually we discovered that she was severely deficient in magnesium. She started a nightly dose of magnesium glycinate, added pumpkin seeds and greens to her meals, and within a month, she said, I'm finally sleeping through the night. I didn't realize how tense I was either until now I feel so calm. Now, they feel like if they just relax or they just take some time that's going to be what helps them. No, you need the nutrients that actually help you relax. You can't just relax. You need the nutrients that aid in that, especially during menopause. The next one is vitamin D3, and this is the sunshine hormone. Now, vitamin D is a hormone precursor, right? And it boosts mood, immunity, bone health, and helps to regulate estrogen. But here's the thing. Declining estrogen reduces your ability to activate vitamin D. And that's why even women who get sunlight can still be deficient. Annette is a retired teacher profiled by Harvard Health. She had joint pain, low energy, felt emotionally flat. Her doctor finally tested her D levels and they were dangerously low. Within a month of proper supplementation, she said, I didn't realize how dark my world had gotten until I felt the light again. Now, a lot of women believe that if they get it from the sun, that's enough, but not after 40 and not during menopause. So ladies, please get tested. Next one is B complex, the brain and burnout defenders. B vitamins, especially B6, B9, and B12, are your brain's fuel. They support mood, energy, memory, and detox. And in Psychology Today, Melissa shared how she has started forgetting names, zoning out in meetings, and feeling foggy. Her doctor dismissed it, but a nutritionist ran a B12 test and it was tanked. So she got on a B complex support and she said her brain came back online again. Now women believe that it's just brain fog, it'll pass, and sometimes it's not menopause, right? Sometimes it's what's missing from your brain, and that could just be from supplementation. Number 4 is iron, the energy and oxygen lifeline. Iron is essential, even post-menopause. Now, low iron means that low oxygen to your brain, low oxygen to your muscles, and low oxygen to your metabolism. Now, Priya in the Atlantic spent 2 years feeling drained. She thought she was lazy or depressed. Then a friend convinced her to test her ferrin levels, It was a 9. 2 months into iron support, and she said, I started running again. I felt alive. Women believe that if I'm not bleeding anymore, my iron should be fine. Not true. Gut issues, years of low intake, or poor absorption can still deplete you. Number 5 is zinc, and this is the repair and rejuvenation mineral. Zinc helps your immune system, your skin, your hormones, and even your libido. Low zinc equals low healing, breakouts, and frequent illness. In a Well and Good interview, a woman struggling with thinning hair and sinus infections, she discovered a zinc deficiency. And after supplementing, she said, I didn't know one mineral could make me feel like a whole person again. Now, a lot of women believe that I'm eating well, I'm feeling fine, high fiber, low stress, and no alcohol. Well, guess what? That's not all fine, because if you're still not feeling well, that means there is a depletion, and zinc could very well be that. So all you have to do is test your levels and find out. Number 6 is selenium, the thyroid whisperer. Selenium is vital for thyroid health. It helps to convert inactive thyroid hormone to active form, and also acts as a powerful antioxidant. In Mind Body Green, a woman shared how she kept gaining weight and losing hair. Her labs were normal, but at a deeper look, it showed low selenium and borderline thyroid function. With the right nutrition and support, she said, it was like one small shift that made the biggest difference. And now, again, if your labs are fine, that does not mean that you're fine, right? Not necessarily. If your thyroid can't function without selenium, normal labs won't save you. Number 7 and the final is omega-3s, the brain and mood stabilizers. Omega-3s are anti-inflammatory, hormone supportive, and essential for mental clarity. A Cleveland Clinic patient was featured in a case study: midlife depression, high cholesterol, brain fog. After adding high-quality omega-3s, her mood lifted, her joints stopped aching, and her numbers improved. She said, I stopped feeling heavy in every single way. Now, a lot of times it's believed that fish oils just are for heart health. No, it's for your brain, your mood, your hormones, and inflammation as well. So what do you do with all this information, right? Well, first, don't guess, get tested. Ask for a comprehensive micronutrient panel from your provider, or work with someone menopause informed who knows what to look for. And if testing is not an option yet, focus on food and bioavailability. High quality supplements. Support your gut health, because absorption matters as much as intake. And remember, if you're doing it all quote unquote right, then you should feel right. And if you're not, then there is a missing link, and that missing link might be micro, but with a big impact. And it's massive. So coming up, it's time for Ask Mr. Menopause, where I will be answering your real questions about menopause, symptom relief, and how to take the guesswork out of your midlife health. I'm Tafiq Akhir. You're watching the Mr. Menopause Show on Bold, Brave TV, and we'll be back after this.
Next week on the Mr. Menopause Show, menopause isn't just a personal issue, it's a workplace wake-up call. In this powerful episode, Mr. Menopause is tackling why ignoring menopause in the workplace is costing companies more than they realize, and how simple changes in awareness, policy, and support can make a massive difference in performance, retention, and overall well-being. Don't miss this special edition masterclass that you won't get anywhere else. If you've ever wondered how to bring menopause awareness into your company, or wished your boss understood what you're really going through, this episode is your moment. Catch it Monday at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern on Bold Brave TV, and streaming across Roku, YouTube, iHeart, Spotify, Amazon Fire, and more. Share this with someone who needs to watch, because change starts with awareness, and awareness starts right here.
Welcome back to the Mr. Menopause Show on Bold Brave TV, and I'm your host, Tafiq Akhir, Mr. Menopause here, and it's time for Ask Mr. Menopause. Now, if you'd like me to answer your questions live, you can always go to askmrmenopause.com and leave your question there. Now, I got a lot of questions last week, but there's 5 in general that I want to cover today that I'd like to answer on air. Now, the first one is, why do I wake up drenched in sweat? only to feel freezing cold right after. Well, this is more than just a hot flash, by the way. It's your internal thermostat short-circuiting. Now, as estrogen levels decline, your hypothalamus, which is the part of your brain that actually regulates body temperature, it becomes sensitive and reactive. And that sudden burst of sweat is your body overcorrecting, and then followed by chills when the sweat cools on your skin. Look, I know that it's frustrating and disruptive, and yes, it's hormonal, but it can be managed once you understand what the triggers are, and it just takes the right kind of strategy. So it's about getting with a menopause-informed practitioner, whether it's a doctor, a specialist like myself, or even finding some tutorials online, maybe from YouTube, finding strategies that can help to put those things in place for you. Now, number 2 is, why does sex feel different or even painful during menopause when it never used to? Well, this is something that far too many women endure in silence, thinking that it's just part of getting older. But here's the truth. Declining estrogen impacts vaginal tissues, which can lead to dryness, thinning, and loss of elasticity, and the result is discomfort, pain, and a very real drop in libido or even arousal. But please hear this. There are solutions, from vaginal estrogen to non-hormonal moisturizers, pelvic floor therapy, and even mindset shifts around intimacy. And this is something that you can navigate with a lot of confidence and not shame. And if it's an area that you think that you would like help with, there's actually, you can look her up. She is a Mr. Menopause approved provider. She is called the Vagina Coach. You can look her up online, vaginacoach.com. I believe that is her line. Her name is Kim Bopney, and she is a pelvic floor specialist, and she can help you with that as well. Number 3 question is, why do I suddenly feel anxious, irritable, or like I'm not myself? Well, first, you're not crazy. You're not broken. Look, what you are experiencing is just a hormonal disruption, right? Specifically, it's the sharp drop in estrogen that affects neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine. For some, it shows up as anxiety or rage. For others, it's sadness or emotional numbness. And the worst part, many doctors don't connect the dots between hormones and mood changes, but I do. And once you understand what's behind it, you can take steps nutritionally, medically, and emotionally to reclaim your mental and emotional balance. Number 4 question I got is, can menopause trigger new allergies, skin reactions, or food sensitivity? And the answer is yes. And this one catches a lot of women off guard. Hormonal shifts can affect your gut health, your immune response, and even your body's ability to handle histamines, right? So that rash, bloating, or weird irritation you never used to have is not your imagination, and it's not just aging. Supporting your gut, reducing systematic inflammation, and identifying your unique triggers can help you to feel more in control and less reactive. And now the 5th and final question that I'll be sharing in this segment is, why does my body feel inflamed, achy, or like I'm aging overnight? Estrogen has anti-inflammatory properties and helps to keep joints, muscles, and connective tissue supple and strong. But when it drops, you may feel stiff when you wake up, or sore after basic movements, or like your body just isn't bouncing back like it used to. And that doesn't mean that you're destined for a downhill slide, right? It just means your body needs a new strategy, one that supports muscle retention, reduces inflammation, and addresses the hormonal shifts holistically as well as medically. And that's exactly, again, where someone like myself comes in that can help you. And I always tell people, if not me, I always recommend looking at either the Menopause Society or the Menopause Experts group. But one way that you can start, I always say, is to start with my Menopause Readiness Quiz. It's completely free. It's going to help you to identify and assess where you are in your menopause journey, help you identify any symptoms that you may not even realize were menopause related. And then if there is a program that I provide that could help you in assisting you to get the help that you need, it will provide that based on your responses to the quiz as well. Now look, menopause isn't just about hot flashes and skipped periods, right? It's a full body transition that affects your mind, your body, and your emotional well-being in ways that most people never talk about. But once you know what's going on, you can finally stop guessing and you can start making informed decisions and making informed choices, right? And things that support your joy, your health, and most importantly, your overall vitality, because that's what you want, right? And again, if you want to take that quiz, you can go to menopausereadinessquiz.com. That's menopausereadinessquiz.com. Now, next week, on next week's show, I am going to be sharing menopause in the workplace, and this is going to be something that's great for everyone. So whether you are someone experiencing menopause and you experience some of the trials at work, whether you're a supervisor of women who are in midlife, if you are a co-worker of someone who is in midlife, this show is for you. It's about how to manage menopause in the workplace effectively on every level, as someone who is working with someone with menopause as well as someone who is going through it. So I will see you there next week. Again, I'm Tafiq Akhir, Mr. Menopause here, your go-to source for reliable menopause and healthy aging support. This is the Mr. Menopause Show, streaming on Bold Brave TV. And until next time, stay safe and be well.
Thanks for tuning in to the Mr. Menopause Show. Next week, don't miss our special edition episode, Making Menopause Work at Work. Tafiq will break down how to navigate menopause in the workplace and what employers and employees need to know to create real support. Be sure to follow, subscribe, and share this episode with someone who needs it. See you next time on the Mr. Menopause Show, broadcasting on Bold Brave TV.